All right. Welcome back. I think I start it the same every single time. All
All
right.
right.
But welcome back to the Refined Podcast. I am your host, Sydney Adams.
And I'm Jason King. Welcome back and welcome to our new timers,
Heck
newbies.
yeah. We're back.
Welcome, welcome. Glad
All
you're
right.
here.
Yes. All right. Tell me something.
You want to kind of explain that?
Yeah. Okay. So if you're new here or if you haven't heard before, we always do like tell me something. And that's something that we kind of have done. Just like if you're like, guess what? We're like,
Yeah.
tell me something. So that can be something new that's going on with you or something exciting right now, a product you've been loving, a place you've been loving. It really can be anything that's on your mind, I guess.
Yeah, I think for me, might tell you something. This week is gonna be just excited for the holidays.
Yeah.
Excited for Thanksgiving coming up. We have our turkey trot.
Yeah.
We're running a 5K
I
on
know. I've
Thanksgiving.
never been a family that, like, I've never done that before on Thanksgiving, and I've always been like, oh, I want to, but no one else
Yeah,
in my
no, I
family has
think
ever initiated it.
I think we should start doing it every year.
Yes.
I've done it a few times in Vero. It's pretty
Oh,
big
on
there,
Thanksgiving you have?
yeah.
Yeah,
And
how
like
fun.
with friends, it's a good time. But I told Sydney I'm taking it serious.
Yeah.
I was like, might
He's
leave
like,
you in the
leave you in the
dust.
dust. Yeah, right, exactly. I need to train for the next 3
Gotta
days to
train.
get
All
ready
last
for
week,
this.
I ran a mile,
Yes.
and during that mile, I'm just like, all right, training.
Turkey trot.
Turkey trot. So this week I might try to go up to 2 miles, hit 2.5 by Wednesday.
Okay, and then you're ready on Thursday.
I'm
Adrenaline rush will take over.
3.1 in under 24 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm going to post it too. If it's a good time, y'all are going to see this everywhere. But no,
He's
yeah.
gonna be proud of this turkey trot moment.
So proud. But no, yeah, really excited about the holidays coming up. We then have a cool trip right after the next day after Thanksgiving. So yeah, just all around excited, Perfect time of
Yeah.
year. The weather's nice.
Yeah,
The
I've
vibes
been
are
loving
nice.
it. I've been loving this like a little bit chillier weather.
Exactly.
It doesn't last long, but I wish it did.
Yeah, feels good. What you got for me? You tell me something.
All right. So, yeah, this week was a really, really exciting week too. I had a couple like pinch me moments because I've only been on a couple podcasts before, but like actually all of them have been like my favorite social media people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my first one was Gretchen, and she has been like my all-time favorite YouTuber since before I ever had a YouTube. And then after that was Caitlin Nolan, and that was this past week. So I had two different podcasts this past week. And Caitlin Nolan's also one of my favorites, and we've become like internet friends over time. But
Yeah.
and then yesterday was the Gals on the Go podcast, and then they came here to Tampa, which was so cool to like it. When I met them, it felt like they were like I've known them for so long.
That's
and
awesome.
it was so awesome. So
Those
yeah.
are always the best interactions.
Yeah.
Just it's not weird. It's
Right. There's no small talk needed. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, we just know each other. So that was really exciting. And then I guess I have two tell me somethings this
What
week.
else?
Yeah.
Come on.
And
Give
then
it
I
to
guess
me.
kind of like hand in hand with that, I think that I finally have like a switch has flipped where I'm like actually taking social media seriously and like
Yeah.
actually wanting to kind of like go after it as a career, because I've always kind of had it on the side with online coaching, and like online coaching will still continue to be like my priority, but I kind of was like, oh, when I have time to do social media. So I wasn't consistent with things. I
Right.
was like never doing brand deals, so it wasn't necessarily like bringing in income through brand deals and
Right.
stuff. So I now am doing I'm now working with a management team, so that's been exciting. This past week has been like my first week kind of just getting everything together for that, and
Yeah.
I think that it's going to be a game changer. It takes a lot of stress off of me not having to like deal with brand deals and deal
Right.
with like all of the back end stuff. So yeah, both of those things.
Yeah, I mean, going off of that, elaborate on that a little bit. Kind of like go a little deeper, like how is it going to relieve stress for you, and what's the benefit of having that when it comes to social
Yeah.
media?
Yeah, because I personally didn't know anything before I
Right.
got into it, and I had like heard a couple people that I watched on social media, and they were like, it's the best move that I've ever done because basically like they're the middleman between you and brands. And that's what's always been daunting for me, like when it comes to brand deals, is like negotiating and trying to
Mm-hmm.
decide like what all you really need to include in brand deals and your due dates and everything. It just was a lot. And it was, that's kind of what like steered me away from ever doing them.
Right.
And so the management team, they find the brands for you, or actually you can tell your management team like what brands you love. And so then you're more likely to work with brands, and you get to choose. Like if they bring a brand to you, you're like, okay, I don't want that. Or I would love to work with them. And they do all of the sending your content into the brands and
That's
just kind of all
awesome.
the tedious stuff that I don't like doing.
Yeah, I mean, it leaves your job is just to get the content
Yeah,
at
right.
that point. You know, they handle all the stuff we don't see,
Yeah, right.
the stressful stuff, like you said. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Congrats.
thank you so much.
I'm acting like this is my
Like you,
first time
yeah,
hearing it.
big news for you, by the way.
Big.
Yeah, but I mean, we really didn't talk a ton about everything that they do, and
Right, yeah.
just
I
kind
just
of
knew it
like
was gonna help
general.
you out a ton, and I was
Right.
like,
Take it
do
away.
it. Yeah.
Yes.
If it's gonna, add less stress to your life, then absolutely.
Well, and I think like over the last couple years, I was really trying to like take on everything myself, and like almost felt like I wanted control of everything. And
Right.
so a big part of like even just having my sister work with me was a big leap of faith, because I was able to kind of like get rid of some of the back end stuff and like have allocate your work to different times. And I don't know if
Right.
that makes sense, but you can't stretch yourself too thin all the time, and this is going to really help. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, well, today I think we're gonna talk a lot about 20s and kind of like maneuvering through after college, and just I don't know, we're both kind of at the same, we're at different spots. You're like a year ahead of me, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, about a year and a half. It gets weird. Like all of a sudden, you're just like after college, you just almost get like slapped with like real life.
Right.
And I can remember like I couldn't wait to graduate college, get out into the real world, and then out of nowhere, it's just like, oh crap.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think we're just gonna touch on, just be very like real and true about kind of how it was for both of us.
Yeah.
Just go from there. So,
What do you think, like right after you graduated from college, like what do you think changed so much, like right after, when was it interviewing for jobs, or was it like what was the most daunting part of that for you?
for me, it was because I got done and then COVID hit
Mm.
right away. So, for me, it's just kind of like one financially. I was, lucky enough to have help from my mom going through school. She told me, as long as I was in school and, playing football, she'd, help out.
Yeah.
Given, I worked and everything, but she was there to help. But financially, it was big. The bills were kind of on me at that
Mm-hmm.
point. And then also getting out, and then COVID hitting. I had planned, to use my degree. And
Yeah.
uh, once COVID hit, it was like, oh crap, what do I do now?
Yeah.
So I can remember, I don't know if people know this, I doubt they do, but like I worked at Amazon for a while as like a delivery driver during that time. And I can just remember like one day at work, I'm just thinking like, wow, I thought this season of my life would have been totally different.
Right.
And I'm sure everyone, COVID attacked the entire world. So I'm sure a lot of people went through that, but it was tough. It
Yeah.
was tough, mentally, and just being at that age. I didn't really know how to handle it, but I just knew better days were coming, and I just kind of played my part in that season and did what I had to do. And
Yeah. You kind of liked doing delivery driving for Amazon, didn't you?
I did. It was tough at first. It took
Yeah.
some time getting used to, simply because I had to learn how to like be alone.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do have like an introvert side to me.
Right.
So I just had to learn how to tap into that, all day.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
it's like you wake up 7 a.m., you clock in, you load up your packages, and then you're on your own for the whole day until you complete that. your drive for that day to complete all, delivering all the packages. So
And you don't really talk to anyone because you're not like knocking on doors, are you? You
no,
just kind of
no,
drop.
drop them. And then especially with, it being the COVID time,
Oh, I didn't
you
even
know,
think about that.
people wouldn't
Yeah.
even come outside. I remember
Scared of
they
you.
had, yeah, literally, because then it's like I can remember the entire, like, people were getting COVID from the warehouse because something
Uh,
like the shipments from China. 'Cause remember, it was like big over in
yeah.
China. That's kind of where like it came from.
Yeah.
And I guess there was this huge thing with like touching the packages and,
Oh my
always had to
gosh.
wear or put on hand sanitizer and wear our mask and stuff like that. But
Oh,
yeah, people with packages, it was really weird around that time. I can
yeah.
remember like delivering packages and like seeing people, they'd almost like run into their house, like
Oh, I
run
don't
away
doubt
from you.
it. And they probably, I feel like I ordered so much during that time.
Yeah,
One, because people had way more time to online shop. And then two, you don't want to go to the stores. So you're like
exactly.
ordering all of your cleaning supplies if
Mm-hmm.
there is any in stock. It's so weird. Like all of that time was such a blur. And that's when both of us graduated from college.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like I had my whole senior year was, well, my last semester of school because I graduated in December 2020. So my whole last semester, my last 2 semesters were all COVID.
All COVID, yeah.
Yeah, it was so weird.
All online. And yeah, it was definitely a weird time, but I'm glad it's over with.
Yeah. I think that getting out of college, we all expect or we see people getting these like internships and then going into their dream jobs where you
Mm-hmm.
almost feel like you're doing something wrong if you don't take the normal path right after
Right.
school. And I definitely think COVID changed a lot for almost everyone, but that was kind of what would stress me out. Towards the end of my senior year, I kind of knew what I was doing after college, but like my junior year and towards the beginning of my senior year, like you see everyone else, they know exactly what they're doing right after college. And
Yeah.
it's a weird feeling not knowing where you're gonna live or what you're gonna
Exactly.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, like, I can remember sitting in one of my classes my last semester on campus, and I can remember just like sitting there and thinking, I'm looking at the professor, had no clue what he was talking about. It's kind of like one of those like, all right, get me out of here type of thing. But I remember thinking like, I don't even really find enjoyment in what, I'm getting my degree in.
Oh yeah.
So it was a huge, then it's almost like it was way too late for me to go and try to change my
Right.
degree because I knew at that point I was old enough to realize like, okay, I want to do something I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
And I always knew that it was like, I have a passion for like fitness.
Yeah.
So then I almost went ahead and, switched my degree over to,
The
like
exercise
exercise
science.
science or something. But then I was like, well, do I really want to, almost go like another year or maybe even 2 years of
Right.
school? So I just, bit the bullet and I got my degree in supply chain. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was a weird time because I remember thinking like, wow, I really feel like I wasted all this time on something I'm not even going to use. And I'm not using my degree at all.
But here's the thing. I think that the question of like, do you think college was worth it? And I think there's tons of different paths, but
Yeah,
I learned so many time management
exactly.
skills throughout college, and I just learned about, oh my gosh, more so than just my degree. I just learned how to be an adult a little bit. It was a
Exactly.
good like bridge from high school to adulthood.
Yeah, I actually have someone like really close to me that I don't think that school is for them.
Yeah.
And I try to, explain to them all the time that my personal take on it is that, school isn't for everyone.
Right.
I think that's, pretty well known, but a lot of people think that they have to go to college in order to be successful.
Yeah.
It's not the key at all. It's, finding what you like and what you really want to do. And I know it's hard to really figure that out at a young age, but um, going off of what you said, I do think that I learned a lot throughout college. Do I think that I wasted time? Also, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So I do appreciate, I don't think I'd be the same person I am today if it wasn't for college. I grew a ton in college. I think we all do. But
Yeah. Right.
um, for me, if I could go back, I don't know, it's so tough.
It is
It's
tough.
almost like, I don't know if I would have went because ultimately I think I would have, just started getting into real estate right away.
Yeah.
Like if I could go back or go to school and then do that on the side,
Get
or
like a head start on it.
yeah, something like that. But yeah, I don't know. That's such a tough one for me because I don't
Yeah.
know if I don't know if I could go back if I would go through it again or if I would do something else.
But did you enjoy, like, I love school. Like, I loved going to class and I loved being, I know. Are you surprised? I was ever,
No, not at all.
but like, I really did. And I think some people, and I loved it all throughout grade school too. Like, I
Yeah.
just always enjoyed, like, learning and studying and everything. And you said the opposite. Even this morning, you're like, I can't stand studying,
Yeah,
really.
no, I can do it now only because like so for like the getting my real estate license.
Yeah.
I mean, I studied, and like I enjoyed it because like I knew I needed to learn it, and I was interested in it. So it was
Right.
fun learning that. But as far as going through these classes where I would look at the information, I'm like, I will honestly probably never use this in my life. It was
Right.
almost like no, I didn't enjoy that at all.
Yeah.
But like now, like with the personal training course, like I enjoy learning that stuff too.
Right.
So
I
I
guess if you
think,
know it's gonna be what you're doing for a living,
yeah,
it's a little more
if
exciting.
if I know it's going to benefit me with that information, then yeah, I'm gonna enjoy it. But no, going off of what you said, no, going back to school and I did not enjoy
Yeah.
going to classes and
Well,
stuff.
I guess I go back on my word a little bit because any kind of math class, not for me.
Right.
Like, I struggled a lot through that. That was
Math was
hard,
actually
but
my favorite subject.
oh, I feel like you either have a creative mind or a
Right.
math.
Like
The math ain't
numbers.
mathin'.
Math ain't mathin'. No, I enjoyed working with numbers, but I also feel like I do have a creative side as well. Not as
Yeah.
creative as you.
You just got a perfect little mix.
Perfect mixed.
Yeah. But getting out of college, I think I was very fortunate in the sense of like I was already doing what, like all throughout college, I was doing personal
Exactly.
training. So I had a lot easier of a transition. So that made it a lot easier. But it was like reality hit, and you felt like, oh my gosh, I've got to move out of my college town. I've got
Mm-hmm.
to figure out where next. And it was a really weird feeling because I didn't really have strings attached to my college town, but like I was like, well, where do I go? Like, what do
Right.
I do now? And the thought of meeting new friends, and I guess we could talk more on that a little bit too, like friendships after college, but the thought of like almost starting over was daunting because in
Right.
college everyone is in the same boat. Like everyone's starting from scratch and everyone needs friends,
Exactly.
and you can meet people in class and stuff, and then you move away and it's a total different ballgame.
It's different.
Yeah.
And it's hard meeting people and, making friends when you're in a completely new area.
Yeah.
That happened to me going to college. I went, miles away and I was far away from home, didn't know anybody. Luckily for football, it was easy to make friends, but
Right.
and
Teammates and yeah.
yeah, and I'm weird just like going off of what you said, meeting new friends, and I'm like that like no new friends type of person.
Well, you're very fortunate that you have amazing friends,
Right.
and that is almost unheard of to have the same friends in college. I mean, like you really have such a solid group of friends, and
Right.
um I don't say that lightly because I mean, like I don't have a single complaint. Like they're all just sweet angels, but it's not common that you grow up and you still are in the same friend group
Mhm.
because everyone's growing at different paces and everyone's doing such different things. But um, yeah, you've been fortunate enough that people from college are now in Tampa.
Right. Yeah, and that was kind of wild how that happened.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
kind of
almost
random because
like
it's not close.
yeah, no, not at all. How I ended up here, it was me and Gunner. We used to always come and visit Austin. And then after like our third trip visiting him, we said, yo, we're moving here after college.
Yeah,
And we just said it. I mean, I don't know if either of us took it too serious, but
yeah,
it was like after college, we actually like, yo,
did it.
let's move in. Let's go to
Yeah,
Tampa. So, yeah, I'm very fortunate to have the friendships and such like a solid group of friends. Um, but yeah, as far as like making new friends and stuff like that, it takes a while for
Yeah.
me to. I read people and I observe, and like one wrong move or one thing, I'm like, all right, no,
Back to my comfort friends.
they're
Yeah,
my comfort
right.
friends. But I'm very thankful I am that way.
Yeah.
It's caused me I mean, I've avoided a lot of, conflict and just flaw, interactions
Yeah.
and things like that. Like I
Yeah.
don't want that in my life, so
No, I'm with you. I have always been kind of like a quality over quantity type of person. Like I never really was like in a big friend group. I mean, in high
yeah.
school and stuff, we had friends, but like in college, I never had a friend group. It was like friends from all over. Like none of them were
Right.
like mutual friends, really. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And then like my best friend obviously is still in
Mhm.
Alabama. But when you find your best friend that you just like click with, you almost only want to do things with them, and
Yeah.
everything's just like you have this built-in, oh, nothing's ever gonna be awkward. Like, I can go to all these new things, but as long as I have
Exactly.
her to be like my security blanket,
Mhm.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's been different, not having your best friend in the same state or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, which is and also it's pretty tough for you too. I would say. I know you don't really like talking about it, but you never know if people's intentions are, pure when they're trying to become your friend.
Yeah.
You don't know if people are chasing just like the success or like what you've got going on, you know?
Well, it's a weird situation because I share so much of my life on social media, and so I'm meeting you as a stranger and you're meeting me, but you, quite frankly, you could know a
Right.
ton about me. And that, you know what, that's part of it. And that's part
Exactly.
of putting your life out on social media. But it's weird meeting someone and you're like, oh, I can't give you my elevator pitch because you already know it pretty much. If,
Right.
if they do follow me on social media or know me on social media. So, yeah, that is a little bit strange, but I also don't go to a ton of places.
Right.
You have to drag me out of my
Yeah.
my routine, which is fine because I love it once I'm out. But yeah, there's only so many places that you can meet people
Mhm.
if you're kind of just doing the same thing, and yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean you handle it very, very well.
and I have my sister here, so that's good.
Yes, which is huge.
Yes,
Huge and soon won't be so far away.
right, exactly.
So that's awesome. Yeah. I think, just navigating that way and also staying in touch with, friends like you and Jeannie, you guys talk all the
Yeah,
time, your best
right,
friend, and then all your other friends too. You keep in
right.
touch pretty well. How has that been? Have you found that kind of difficult being so far away, to stay in touch with certain people?
Oh, for sure. So, since I'm from Michigan, obviously you know this, but since I'm from Michigan, when I moved to Alabama, I only stayed in touch with like my best friend from there, which was
Right.
Lexi, but I didn't really talk to anyone from high school after that. And now I literally talk to no one except
Yeah.
her from Michigan. And then at Alabama, I mean, I hardly really talk to many people from college anymore. We'll follow each other on social media still and like, chat every once in a
Right.
while. But for the most part, like it is hard when you don't see someone all the time to
Mm-hmm.
stay in touch.
Yeah. And then, it's just, I think we get so caught up in our day to day life, you forget to reach out. Also,
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that as well, just with family members. But it's something that I always tell myself I got to be better at.
Yeah.
Reaching out to certain people. Um, One of my old roommates. This was all honestly like a phone call I needed to have because like for some reason he had been on my mind for like the past couple of days, and out of nowhere he called me. And like I had meant to call him, but he called me and he was like, "Hey man, was just thinking about you." I was just like, "That's so weird." Like I'd been thinking about him, and we
Yeah.
chatted for about an hour, and
Wow.
it was great just catching up with him. But we both talked about that actually. Like we're all on like our different paths of life,
Mhm.
and it's just so hard. Like we get so caught up just in working and just things that we've got going on that we forget to reach out to one another.
Yeah.
So was just like, man, like it's wild. It's wild how, that happens. I was thinking about him and I was like, yo, I got to call him. Then he calls me and then
Yeah.
just have this great conversation. But it made me realize that, I got to be more mindful of reaching
Yeah.
out to, people and staying in touch.
Absolutely. Our 20s are so weird because some people are still in their party phase and they're going out all the time. And then you've got the next person that, like, they're in their single, trying to, like, find themselves journey.
Yeah.
And then there's some people who have babies already and some people that are getting married. And, like, we're just at such different spots.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Exactly.
And every time I see someone, like, our age getting married or, like, having kids, I'm like, we're too young for this.
Yeah.
When we're not, but I just feel like it is. Like, it just still seems like we're too young, but
I
we're
remember,
not.
I think it was about like a year ago. It was almost like every other week. I either saw somebody getting engaged or like a pregnancy post.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I remember talking to my friends about it. I'm like, I guess we're just at that point in life where, all this is happening. We're at that age.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, everyone does have their own, path and everything, but it all happens differently and at a different time for everybody.
Yeah.
But I do think, right now from that like 24 to like 35 age range,
Lots happening.
lots happening.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty used to it now when
Yeah.
I see it scrolling down my feed.
You're like, everyone's having kids, everyone's getting dogs, everyone. Yeah.
Exactly.
I know it is. I mean, so my sister having a kid, it felt weird, but now I'm like, it just makes sense. Like, her as a mom, but like at first when she told me she's pregnant, I'm like, oh, this seems so strange. Even though she's 27, I think she was 26 at that time. Maybe she was already 27, and it just feels weird because you just blink and you're just grown. I mean,
exactly.
it's so weird. And in college, like, you're kind of all, it's like a level playing field. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the right way to say that? And so everyone's kind of on the same path at that point.
Right.
For the most part.
Yeah. Everyone's kind
doing
of
the
got
same thing
going on. You go to class, work a little like part-time job.
Yeah.
Enjoy yourself, when you can.
So let's talk about how in your 20s, I feel like a lot of people struggle to figure out what the heck they're passionate about and what the heck they want to do for a living. And I think a lot of people feel like they're in their entry. I mean, it's very common to be in like your entry level job right after college, but like not necessarily enjoy what you're doing. How do you manage finding what you do enjoy doing while still making a living? Like, do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. I'll just touch on how, I've tried to figure it out and how I'm still trying to figure it out because I don't really have like the right answer for it, but I think it's just finding like what you've always enjoyed doing. Finding, what is just like, how do I put this? Almost like it's something you do, but it's a part of your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like you do it, and like if it wasn't a part of your life, it's almost like you wouldn't be able to like live type of thing. Yeah, and I think just, finding these, like the small time to incorporate that into, your busy life while you're still working and just, slowly starting to, do it more and more and more until you're able to just have like your passion become your job,
your career.
I guess. Is that kind of what you're asking?
Yeah, to some extent. So I just know that when I questioned what I wanted to do after college, my dad would always say, like, find something you love doing and you'll never work a day in your life. Like, that was just like always his quote that he'd say. And I'm like, okay, easier said than done to find what you actually enjoy doing. And for a long time, I thought that I was going to be working in an elementary school. And like, I still eventually, I 100% want to volunteer at a school, like, especially when I have kids. I want to be really involved in that. But I think it's difficult deciding what to lean into. And when it came to, like, for me, for fitness, it didn't provide for me in the beginning. Like, I was working at a real estate job as an assistant, and I was making more money than what I left that, and I was a personal trainer, and I was making more money in the office job because it was consistent hours. And so trying to decide if I'm going to lean into that, because I could tell every single day it didn't feel like work.
Yeah.
It felt like, okay, this is what I'm meant to be doing. I just didn't know if you had any advice on that or
Yeah,
any pointers.
it's taken a risk. And I'm the biggest person, like, get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think, like, so for you walking away from the real estate job and just taking on, personal training full time, I'm sure it was very uncomfortable and very scary because you're like, okay, what if I can't pay my bills doing this?
Right.
But you found a way. It's almost like you get in this like survival mode. I
Yeah.
think we all have it. But I think people, like, a lot of people in their lifetime, they don't see it because they're too scared to take, the risk.
Right.
So I think, just doing it, just, walking away from that job and just giving, your 100% to what you really enjoy doing.
Yeah.
I think that, eventually something's going to give.
Yeah.
And it's going to work out for you. It may not work out the first time. You may get knocked down a few times, but get up, keep going. It's almost like, every single no is one step closer to that yes.
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, my advice would be just, come up with a plan and take the risk.
Yeah.
Take the risk. You can always have a fallback. You can always, go become, a waiter or waitress at a spot, or if everything goes wrong, there's you could always pick up like a second job.
Right. Yeah. And make it work if it's really something that you're that passionate about, for sure.
Yeah. And these corporate companies, I mean, they're always hiring. Like,
yeah,
just take a leap of faith and give it a try.
Well, my thing, so obviously when I was about to graduate from college, I remember people would ask me what I wanted to do for a living, and I'd be like, well, I really want to do personal training. And I almost felt like embarrassed that, like, oh, this is really what I want to do right after school, just because it was like not what I was going to school for. And like, working in a gym is a different path than what a lot of people were doing. But I really truly think that, like, if you're so passionate about things and you show up for it, even if it's like the entry level of what you're passionate about, people gravitate to you. If you are like, you will literally, everyone can tell when you're passionate about something. Exactly. And they want to be around you. They want to learn from you. And if it's something, this could be anything. This could have been real estate. Like, even if you came into a real estate job as like a complete entry level job, but if you were just so passionate about learning and about pouring into people and like helping people, then I think that it will provide for you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It does take a little risk though, for sure.
Yeah. I'll be honest. So the whole reason I didn't like major in exercise science my freshman year was just because, like, financially, it was like the money and like the numbers. And I was just like, oh, I'd rather go down the business path.
Yeah.
But going back, it's just like, I'm so passionate about it, and I wish I could go back and, change that, because I feel like if I would have started, way back then, I feel like, I don't know, could have just been, a lot further along and already doing it. So, I know the money is probably the scariest thing for most people to make this move into what they're passionate about, because at first it probably isn't going to, be enough.
Yeah.
You might have to, pick up another job or something, or do something you don't want to do, but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
You're not just going to do what you enjoy doing and become a millionaire overnight.
Right.
Or be a six-figure person in your business overnight. So
absolutely,
it's going to take time. You just got to put the money aside and really let your passion shine for it.
Yeah, and I think actually that's a good point, because if you're questioning what your passion is, what would you do for less money than what you're doing right now and still feel like you are fulfilled?
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that it is really difficult, because they say that your 20s are like when you should be building this foundation, and you should be like making enough money and just trying to work your way up the ladder. Right. And for some people that's completely fine, and that's exactly what works for them, and that they want to live on that corporate ladder where they start small and then they just continue to grow. And kudos to you if that's what you want to do. But if you're every day dreading, if on Sunday you are dreading Monday morning, then it might be worth kind of taking a little deeper dive into what you are passionate about.
Yep.
And this has been a topic that you and I have talked about a ton lately, and trying to figure out, like, all right, of course everyone wants to be financially secure from the second that you start something, but it's not enough. Financial security where you're continue to provide for, like, you know, your bills and everything like that, like, that's obviously necessary. You need to pay your bills. But outside of that, like, money is not going to get you the fulfillment that you're looking for.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah, we do talk about that quite a bit, and changes are coming.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's something that personally I've dealt with, you know, very recently, actually still dealing with it. So and for myself, you know, I'm taking leap of faith. So I'm speaking what I'm going through right now.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm really taking my own advice right here. So, yeah, I think, you know, just gotta do it.
Yeah.
Just gotta do it, and money is not gonna make you happy. Of course, I'd rather cry in, you know, a Rolls Royce, but at the
But
same
hopefully
time,
no crying.
yeah,
That's what
hopefully
we're
no
looking for.
crying.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I keep getting asked, you know, what motivates you. That's been brought up like over the past 2 weeks to me about like 3 times.
Yeah.
And my answer every time is fulfillment, you know, and it's not, most people would say, you know, oh, money, I'm just money driven. Yeah, you can be money driven, but I saw this video one time and it said, when that doctor calls and says that you have a week left to live, would you rather take, or no, how did it go? It was like, would you rather take $2 million or would you rather live, you know, like a week?
Yeah, something.
And he was like, you'd rather live, you know, or longer than a week or something like that.
Yeah.
But the moral is, like, the point is that money isn't everything. Your health, your relationships, your mental health, like, there's so much more that matters, and if it comes down to it, than money.
Yeah.
So, like, your family versus $2 million, which one are you gonna pick?
Right.
You're gonna pick your family.
Something that you know, moms give some seriously great advice, and something that I've talked about with my mom lately without going off on a tangent too much is, like, she's done jobs her whole life. She's done sales her whole life and never has really loved what she was doing. And she is in her 50s now, and she's just like, it's just not worth it. The stuff is not worth it. And, like, we all love stuff. Yeah. We all love going on trips and we all love doing this. But she's like, but if I can go back and do it all over again, I would have taken the leap of faith and figured out something that I really, really enjoyed, because you don't want to be 50 and look back and think, it was just a rat race this whole entire time, and every single Monday I dreaded it. And I don't want to have that when I'm older. Yeah. And I think we all compare ourselves to everyone else's race. And so I guess that can be what we kind of finish off the episode on, is like, your path is so different. We keep saying that your path is so different than the next person, but there's not a right direction to go in, and you're not behind. And just, you know, in your 20s, we're still just trying to figure things out. Exactly. And so is the next person. Even if they don't look like they're trying to just figure it out, they're trying to figure it out too.
Yeah, I think 20s is all about, you know, really finding who you are. And within that, you know, it's finding what you're passionate about, what you truly love to do. Yeah. And I think too many people, you know, they just think their 20s is for, like, partying and, you know, just, you know, all this travel and da-da-da-da-da. But I think truly it's really about, you know, figuring out who you are, because after your 20s, it's kind of like real life is going to hit you in the face. And then if you're doing something that you don't love, you're kind of stuck there. Yeah. You know, because you didn't take the time in your 20s to really figure out and, you know, build that foundation on what you truly love. So then where you're in your 30s, you know, you can flourish in that.
Well, yeah, to some extent, I do agree with you in the sense of, like, in your 20s, take that time. But I also would say in your 30s, if you're in your 30s and you aren't passionate about what you're doing, still take the time to figure it out. Like, it's never too late to figure out what you're passionate about. But I'm with you, because another thing is that, like, my parents always said, once you have kids, you no longer can just take the risks like you can before kids.
Right.
And you have people to provide for. So I think that having less responsibilities where you can take those risks now definitely benefits you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's everything I've got. Are you good?
It's everything I got too.
Yeah, that was a fun one, but lots of chatting today. We went in all different directions, but I think that was a good one, all about kind of figuring things out in your 20s, as we are doing that.
Yes, as I'm still currently doing.
Yes. Well, thank you guys so much for listening or watching today, and we will see y'all next time.